Bishop Shannon, thank you for asking me to speak about anti-racism action in the Diocese of Vermont. We're at a crossroads of learning about our history as a diocese and acting intentionally based on our history and our vision for the future. Where we stand as a diocese in regards to race and racism is a microcosm of where the country also stands. There's so much work to do and so much history we have to look at critically that it can feel overwhelming. Before us, we have both crisis and opportunity. To begin addressing this opportunity, Bishop Shannon formed a group of people with the diocese called Anti-Racism Action. The people on this leadership team represent a wide range of folks, including lay, ordained, and groups of the diocese. There are individuals and groups in a variety of parishes already doing their own personal work to understand white privilege and take action based on what they're learning. The group of leaders called Anti-Racism Action accepted the challenge to harness these initiatives and organize a diocesan-wide effort to tackle racism and make meaningful changes where we live. They aspire to offer a variety of ways to engage with these issues. I am not an expert on understanding racism, white supremacy, white privilege, or the actions we must take to combat them, but I want to do what is best, and I'm grateful to lend my skills as I am able. With that said, I'm going to use terms that may or may not work for everyone. Recognize that language is complicated and that people may or may not be comfortable with certain terminology. Is it most accurate to say person of color, African American, Black, or another term? What about Native American, American, or a member of a particular tribe such as Abenaki? How about white or Caucasian? Potentially, there are so many ways to go right and so many ways to go wrong in discussion about racism. If I say something that is inaccurate or comes across as insensitive or uneducated, now or in the future, please let me know. Creating a culture of educating each other in a way without shame or blame can help us grow individually and as a community. I encourage all of us to keep our eyes on the prize, which means communicating our preferences and perspectives with respect, while also keeping our focus on the content of our dialogue about racism and what we can do to change the status quo. The work of Anti-Racism Action focuses on what those of us with white privilege can do, particularly in regards to our thoughts and behaviors impacting Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Specifically for us in Vermont, we'll grapple with how we treat Abenaki, whose land we occupy. Whenever any people are oppressed, we are all oppressed. By acknowledging the realities around us, we are more able to see firsthand what is happening and work together on what we can do to change for the better. We're developing a comprehensive 1 to 3 year plan. We can hope that we learn and that our learning will spur us to act. Our current priorities include, today, convention presentation. Share the vision of anti-racism action, encourage all of us to be involved in dismantling racism. Investigate and reflect on the history of the diocese. Read and discuss the biblical case for slavery in conjunction with the film I Am Not Your Negro. Develop a book list and share it broadly. Additionally, we will offer one-off events such as lectures, pilgrimages, as well as ongoing programming that will include films, book studies, and anti-racism training for leaders and people of all ages. Anti-Racism Action meets every first Tuesday of the month. Reverend Dr. Kelly Brown Douglas is consulting with Anti-Racism Action. We are lucky to have her support and guidance. She is Dean of the Episcopal Divinity School at Union Theological Seminary. She is also the Canon Theologian at Washington National Cathedral. During her participation in an Anti-Racism Action meeting, Reverend Dr. Douglas spoke of being at a unique time in history, a time when 2 pandemics have converged, white supremacy and COVID-19. She said that the COVID-19 pandemic laid bare the white supremacist pandemic. She spoke eloquently, intelligently, and with passion. I'd like to share some of my notes from that meeting. Reverend Dr. Douglas acknowledged that the Jesus movement and also shared that the COVID-19 pandemic shed light on many things, including points such as, to call ourselves church is aspirational. All that has happened during COVID has happened under our watch. We should not have needed the 21st century spectacles to call us to account to be a church, yet here we are with this opportunity. She went on to say that our current position is a time of chaos and disruption, pregnant of possibilities, also a situation where things are turned upside down so much that they can be turned upside right. She said that in order to be a church, a people of faith, we need to be accountable not only to the present, but to all in the future. Be accountable always to the just future God has promised to all of us. Live as if that future is now. Live into Jesus. Jesus was crucified because he stood up for the just. He stood against oppression. He embodied what the future looked like. Point the way to the just future. Jesus was in solidarity with those who were on the underside of society. He was in solidarity with those who were crucified in his own day. Put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. The Jesus movement is a movement that starts in proximity with those who are on the outside and underside of justice. If we stand in solidarity and proximity with those being left out, then we know that we are at least on the right arc and going in the right direction. See that standing in solidarity and proximity is the way to a democracy. See that standing in solidarity and proximity is the way to be church. Recognize that when being woke is out of style, we still need to be here and be active. Understand that being crucified is part of the core of our identity. Question ourselves. If we have not been part of a Jesus movement, what have we been doing all along? Understand that this time is an opportunity. This COVID crisis that has laid bare the ways in which we have not been faithful participants in the Jesus movement now offers us a chance. What might it look like to embrace the Jesus movement in this situation at this time? Being in solidarity with those on the underside. Being in proximity of all people. Being in solidarity and proximity can happen in different ways. We can engage with people who are not like us, learn their stories. We have to find ways to view the world in which they view the world. We have to experience the world the way in which they experience it. Host art shows, read books, create events that bring people together who are not like us. Bring us together and engage with each other. Name the demons. Demons include white supremacy, not individuals, but thoughts, presumptions, and behaviors. Questions. How do we foster white supremacist system? What is our relationship with white supremacy? How do we benefit, or are we complicit with white supremacy without even knowing it? Reverend Dr. Douglas brought an insightful and powerful voice to anti-racism action in the short time we got to speak with her. You will have opportunities to speak with her too. We will all get a chance to hear from her sometime in the future. Our first formation activity is a guided reading of Bible View of Slavery, a book by Bishop John Hopkins, the first Bishop of Vermont. The book was published in 1864. Abby Baker, lead teacher English at Rock Point School, is developing a curriculum for us to follow. The Rock Point School students will also be involved in a parallel curriculum and possibly in the sessions themselves. Everyone is encouraged to participate in the study group, which will be held via Zoom on the first Thursday evenings in December and January from 6 to 8 p.m. Look out for more detailed information, which will come to you from the Echo, Facebook, the Diocesan website. Please send inquiries with anything that I mentioned to communications@diovermont.org or contact me. Thank you again, Bishop Shannon, for your leadership and everybody for your engagement and moving forward together. Yours in Health and Community, CJ Spirito, head of Rock Point School. Thank you.